Weapon leveling in Warzone has to be one of the most tedious things to do every time they drop a new weapon, and today we're going to talk about how to get a max level weapon in 60 to 90 minutes. One of the first things you got to be aware of is how much XP you need. Normally for Modern Warfare weapons, it's about 115,000 weapon XP. Meanwhile, with Cold War and Vanguard, regardless of the levels, it's usually around 145,000 XP, so we're kind of trying to solve for that as fast as possible. One of the most important parts is to make sure you have double weapon XP, regardless if it's tokens or waiting for a double weapon XP to just make it as efficient as possible. Then determining which mode is going to make the most sense, and we'll talk about a couple different options. Personally, one of my favorite ways is to do Rebirth Island and complete as many contracts as possible using the Point Man perk. And for everyone that uses the Point Man perk on your team, it'll up the multiplier so you get more XP for completing contracts. We're gonna see here is I go ahead and grab this particular scav, and the scavs do not pay a lot. Supply runs do not pay a lot, but you can do them fairly quickly. The contracts that you're going to want to look for, because right here you can see it's only 575 weapon XP as we're completing this individual contract. We come through, it's only a 3 times because I was the only one using Point Man. What you're going to see right here is when I do this particular contract, which is the supply drop one, you're going to see how much XP I get, and it ends up being a little bit more. Right there, if you look at it on the screen as it completed, it was 1550, even though it's the next contract. So you're getting like close to 1400, 1500. Times in by that too, with the double weapon XP, it's like 3000. It's almost 1 level per contract, especially on the lower levels. So you could easily jump from level 1 up to 16, or in my case, that's what I did. And then from 16 up to 36. I had a really monster game where I did like 15, 16 contracts, a little bit mix of everything. And you just continue, keep going and going and going. And it just keeps adding up more and more of the multiplier. So when you do these ones here, you complete this one, you end up with 1750 weapon XP just from doing one supply run. And I was the only one on my team focusing on contracts. And I did this with the party and with randoms because a lot of people say, well, I don't have anyone. Like, you just have to play a little differently. I was able to do 15 contracts in a party, so it's super efficient. If everyone knows what was doing, we probably could have done like 18 to 20 if everyone was doing contracts and everyone was rocking Point Man. But when I did it with randoms, I was able to do like 7 contracts. Big game bounties, and the supply drops are probably the best way to go just because of how much XP you're going to get. For this one match, I ended up just from contracts, not from any of the kills I got, because I did get kills with the weapon in the pregame lobby in the match, but I ended up with 17,000 weapon XP, times that by 2. That's 35,000 XP in a single match of Rebirth Island, which lasts approximately like 11 or 12 minutes. And you only need to do that 5 times. So that is under an hour if you're super efficient and every match runs smoothly. Even if you're suboptimal and you're only doing half that pace, 2 hours you should be able to max level a gun if you're fairly efficient. So there's a huge range there, and I'm sure people could be even more efficient than what I was able to do within these individual matches, where you're getting contracts done and you're getting 2,000, which is 4,000 XP. And we saw the weapon, when you need to level it like 3,200 from level 62 to 63, you're leveling up a gun per contract that you're doing, and it adds up fairly quickly. When we go to a game mode like Clash used to be incredibly broken. Clash, when you grab a contract, they'd be very competitive, so it'd be hard to get, but the multiplier shot up. But now you can see on the left, they only go up by like 16, 20%, 25%. Versus they were using the standard multiplier before for bounties. So you were able to get insane ones just by grabbing it and somebody poaching it, grabbing it and poaching it. Now they don't put enough out there. They reset after 7.5 minutes. The mode's not always in there. So you end up with some issues. I would say plunder, but plunder's inconsistent sometimes because it's not always easy to rack up kills. If you're lower skilled players, contracts don't pay that much. They're a little bit slower. They spread them out further. And you end up with more variables, and they've done everything they can to nerf the ways you gain XP to make it slower, so you're grinding the game longer without the optimum builds or even get a chance to try the weapon out. So even right here, 18% is nothing. You end up getting about 1,000 per contract you complete, and even though it's 15, pretty much what ends up happening is anytime your entire team, one person gets a contract, does it, it increases that multiplier even if you're not the one that's completing it, and you will not get that weapon XP. So you can gain some good levels if you're very efficient with it, but it's very hard because sometimes you land and all the contracts are gone. I started off trying to get contracts. You can see I have them marked, but it took forever to get them because it spawned me in late. You know, you have loading issues with the game. So ideally, that's the way you want to go. And like I said, I ended up getting 35,000 XP. And in a gun like this case with the Whitley, when I was leveling up, you're essentially getting 4K XP per each of those later ones. So you're getting a full level. So if you can manage to do 10 contracts, you're easily going to gain 10 to 15 levels, especially in the lower levels. And it will take you about 5 or 6 matches if you get a stack squad together and everyone's doing it cohesively. Like I said, I could have been a little bit more optimal. Point Man, really what it does is it increases that contract as if you've already done one. So if all 3 people already have one, you start on like the 5th multiplier instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though sometimes it could put you at a disadvantage by not having overkill and rocking your primary. You just got to make sure that you have your gun out when you grab that contract. Appreciate y'all supporting the content. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.